Good evening, everyone. Brian here, and welcome to Happy Saint Sheol. This is a demo, and it's a horror game, and I'm gonna give it a try. Let's hope it doesn't let's hope it doesn't kill me. Now, I saw the preview for this on Steam, and it had a lot of little weird glitchy stuff, so can't use a controller. My name is... Sure, we'll keep it as Belial. Is Belial your name? Yes. Not really, but I'll roll with it. The pre-dawn sky was dusky, probably due to the heavy metal particles polluting the air. The inside of the station was packed with crowds of people coming and going. I wondered how much longer we'll be plagued by this heavy fog. The thick haze that has shrouded the world around me since I left early this morning. Despite being midsummer, the ever-present gloom meant everyone around me was bundled up in thick overcoats. Well, that's kind of screwed up if you ask me. The unexpected chill in the air left me shivering on the platform in my lighter clothing as I waited for the train's arrival. The voice of the train conductor reaches my ears from somewhere nearby, cutting through the somber atmosphere. The station in the capital is not a place you can stay in for very long. The dust in the air from the coal left my voice hoarse and dry, and my body quickly froze from the blustery chill. And with so many people rushing here and there, I found myself worrying about potentially missing my train if I didn't stay sharp. So I hurried along in an attempt to make sure that didn't happen. Ugh. A tragedy happened about 2,000 years ago that turned heaven and earth upside down. In the blink of an eye, the world found itself at the mercy of a series of natural disasters and a pandemic later known as pestis. Earth's population were unable to survive in the decay and corruption left in its wake. Following pestis, one man discovered a strange mark on his body that had appeared out of nowhere. Whether due to the mark or not, he received a message from God, along with the power and knowledge to restore the world to how it once was. From then on, everyone born in this new world was marked by the same scar, which came to be known as stigmata. It's said one's power can be seen in the number of marks on their body. Or at least that's what I heard from the town elders, so who knows how much truth there is to that. At any rate, I grew up in a small communal settlement in the most northern part of the 6 great continents following the reconstruction of civilization. Unlike in the capital, where pollution makes it impossible to tell the passage of day and night, the sun always shone brightly over the village I was raised in. The resident of a wasteland this desolate would most likely quickly perish. The last heir of a long-forgotten civilization. But also the descendant of a small tribe from some nameless scrap of land in the middle of nowhere. That's me. I left that village, which had grown tiresome in its familiarity, for the capital, a faraway place I'd always dreamed of. I found it impossible to befriend the folks in my town, who all looked the same, and share the same boring opinions. Not to say that I was an only child, but the age disparity between my siblings and I was simply too great. Either they were old enough to have children of their own, or were literal babies themselves. I was the only man of marriageable age. The rest, having long since lost their minds or various parts of their bodies over the years, were certainly simply not capable of taking on a leadership position. And so the folks in town wanted to place the future of the village on my seemingly capable shoulders. Sure, great. That's just what a kid my age needs. While I fully understand why they came to this decision, It wasn't enough to convince me to rot away in this godforsaken place, listening to the elders' incessant preaching. Surrounded by grandpas and grandmas, aunts and uncles, family member upon family member, and a veritable sea of relatives, well, the folks here are so deeply immersed in tradition that it's impossible for them to embrace anything new, like tepid water festering in a well. That small village was all I knew growing up, and it wasn't long before I grew sick and tired of being constantly surrounded by the same old faces. I've grown bored of waking up every morning in a cramped warehouse, wondering if today will be the day that the prophet will appear. Go to the capital. Those words plagued my every waking moment over the past 7 years, and yet I had nothing to show for it. I had nothing to show for it other than the well-worn pages of a book, History of the Great Northern Continent, and countless wasted days and weeks and months. If I had been in the capital, I could have bought a house, got married, and settled down and start building a happy family life with a partner who I chose to spend the rest of my life with instead of someone decided for me by the village elders. Each time I was forced to hold the shriveled up hand of another old geezer on his deathbed. I felt almost suffocated by the thought that I, too, might spend my entire life rotting in a stagnant hole like this one. And that even after death, my body would be cremated alongside my brothers and sisters, my soul laid rest for eternity in a mass grave, surrounded by the same folks I'd been stuck with while alive. Then, one day, I was blessed by a miracle. Due to the brutal heat and humidity, our crops were withering to nothing, and we were insanely busy trying to deal with it. Which is when our mysterious visitor suddenly appeared. He was a dark-skinned man with bright blue eyes, his cheeks speckled with multitudes of stigmata. He asked if I'd come with him to work at the temple in the capital, and I gladly took him up on his offer. I honestly felt like jumping for joy. This was my chance. My one and only chance to escape from this suffocatingly small town. Which is what ultimately led me to move into the capital. And my death. The train heading to the capital was incredibly crowded. Luckily, I was able to find an empty seat almost immediately, affording me the opportunity to set my heavy baggage down, only to accidentally knock over someone else's belongings with my own. I heard a small gasp. The other person clearly was as surprised as I was. I turned to see a girl much smaller than me. Enough so that I wondered how she had strength to lug those giant bags around. I reflexively snatched up my own baggage and took a few steps back. With her shoulders slightly bunched up around her ears, she glanced between the seat and myself before finally sitting down. The girl with the light pink hair, her cheeks flushed a bright red, kept her gaze averted toward the ground. Unsure if she was still concerned about what had happened, I kept her in my sights through the ensuing chaos on the train. I guess we're stopping now? Without a word of warning, the sound of a nearby train signal announced our arrival, and a flood of passengers surged toward the door. Just before the crowd swept me away, our eyes met for a split second. With a small nod, I just barely caught her lips move. Probably a word of thanks. I found myself forced along by the tide of clearly very busy people with places to go. But the girl still remains in my mind. There was a long line in front of the building I eventually wound up at. It seemed to be a checkpoint of sorts. Seeing the person in the cramped room on the other side of the window dressed in monk's robe, I was momentarily reminded of the sacrament of penance. I stood there silently as her eyes scanned me from head to toe before ordering me to wait. The inspector left the cramped room before being replaced a few moments later by a mild-mannered woman. Unlike the previous inspector, this brown-haired lady was not dressed in robes. You must be new here. What's your name? Belial, was it? My, what an interesting name. What would you like me to call you? Okay, I guess Belle's a good one. Is Belle what you want to be called? Yep. Now let's see here. Ah, yes. Your name is on the list of arrivals for today. The lady with the sweet-sounding voice handed me a piece of paper in a well-practiced manner. I caught a glimpse of her stigmata under her sleeve on her writing hand. Who exactly is she? Can you show me the stigmata on your body? I confidently show her the palms of my hands, and she responds with a warm smile. You're pretty confident, huh? That's a good trait to have. Though for a boy with hair as black as yours, I'm surprised you don't have more. Is two not that many? Here in the capital, youngsters with black hair like yours tend to wield considerable power. Which is probably why they're few and far between. Really? I've had black hair my entire life, and this is the first I've heard of this. It's just a silly belief some people have. Folks living in the capital tend to view the world through a lens of gossip and bias. You could easily become a citywide sensation overnight. Well then, Belial of the Health Department, welcome. I'm sorry, I'm part of the what department now? Confident and funny. Ha! You've got it all. I'm sure you'll figure out everything you need to know during your first day here. You must be exhausted after your long journey. Make sure you get a good night's rest. The dorms are located behind this building. It's pretty hard to get lost, but think you can make it on your own? I'm pretty good at finding my way around. Thanks, though. Are you some kind of administrator here? I'm just an old lady who looks very young. This is where we say goodbye, Belle. Best of luck in your future. Thank you. That's when I took my first step into the underworld. Happy Saint Sheol. This is like the preview that I saw on Steam. I'm guessing we've got through like the light part of this. You see what I'm talking about? Was she naked just a second just now? This girl creeps me out. Great. What could possibly go wrong, right? She was naked. Well, that's kind of a little uncomfortable, unnerving, and stuff like that. Day 1. Oh boy. Ah. Just what you want to see on your first day. Take a step forward. My foot sinks into the wet ground. Pretend not to notice. I keep going, dislodging the corner of my shoe from the mud. The more I walk, the heavier my feet get. A lot of breath I've been holding in. That is not mud. That looks like you're walking through intestines right now, my friend. Pain. Intense. Like my lungs are being twisted out. My head is soaked too, despite there being no rain. I don't know how long I've run. Eventually, someone grasps my sweat-soaked hand. I grip the hand in return and pull on it more firmly. The girl, who is also out of breath, calls my name. Yeah, those look like intestines to me, buddy boy. A little messed up there, not gonna... Oh, hi. Eek! Huh? Snapping out of my reverie, I finally look around, trying to get a read on the situation. Yes, this is a temple dorm that I'd been staying in from now on. I wasted no time falling asleep after putting away my things. And in front of me, it's a cute girl. But not any cute girl. It's the girl that's going to be stripping a lot, apparently, in this game. She's also the one that was on the train with us, too. I can't process any of this. What? Well, yeah. They said new workers are to assemble in their departments in 30 minutes. Oh, I see. The girl hurries out of the room before I can even say hello. And so, I've been left alone here in my room. I hear footsteps pattering away down the hall. I look out the window. The sun is already up. What time is it? I start searching through my things, which are still a complete mess for my habit. All who come of age are considered adults and are given the right to start working. If I had lived in the capital, my coming of age ceremony would have been a year ago. Still, as of today, I was a respectable member of society, and I'm definitely not in a small backwater village with only 2 people in it. Basically, family. The first thing I noticed upon coming here was how my appearance was a little unusual compared to the people here. Everyone in my homeland had similar skin and hair color, but people in the capital all seemed paler and slenderer. By my standards, they looked much more unusual than me. In any case, whenever someone passed me, they looked at me in surprise. I guess I'm the unusual one here. The girl before did the same thing. That's weird. I feel like I've seen her before, maybe. Have we met somewhere before? Strangely, I'm feeling deja vu towards her. I can't get rid of the feeling. Maybe I'll figure it out if we meet again. I head outside my room, which is still dark. Dormitory. Oh. What should I do? I guess you should go to work? Oh my. I can see why people think you're weird. Great. Time to pump myself up for another day. I can see why people think you're weird. Belial. Temple lobby. I head further in, where everything is just as dark, weird, and open a door. A very specific stench attacks my nose. Said they covered up the musty smell of old wallpaper and dust with a deodorizer or something. I even catch a whiff of rotten food. It's actually a little difficult for me to handle. I can feel it in my bones. This place is different from the others. I'm not surprised. It's cordoned off from everywhere else like it is. I go inside as a girl with a small friend quickly turns around at the sound of the door having opened. She scowls and scampers noisily over to me. What's with you? You're late, and you're clothes. Is this supposed to be some kind of joke? What? What's wrong with my clothes? Why do you have all those strange decorations all over your habit? Because I thought they were cool. How is anyone supposed to wear that stuffy outfit every single day anyway? Stuffy? You're about to cross the line with your frivolous games, you know. Who in the world are you, anyway? They said we'd be getting someone accepted by the magic department on a waiver, but that black on black is all I can see. What? Her incredibly rude behavior takes me aback, just as like as I suddenly catch a strong smell of perfume behind me. A blonde girl appears out of nowhere, gets close to me, and grabs hold of my arm. Oh, come on, fighting on his first day. Please don't bully him too much, alright? Isn't he? Something has been bothering me ever since I got on that train. At first, I figured it was just difference in pronunciation or accent, but apparently the language they use here in the capital is fairly different than the one where I come from. I can still make some of it out, but when people talk quickly and quietly like that, I can't keep up with it. In fact, they just mentioned their names, but I couldn't quite make them out. I'm not used to the way they pronounce things here. Well, it'll probably come to me the more time we spend together. For now, I remember them as Chairwoman and Blondie. That will get me through this conversation at least, but if I mishear something important later on, it could be pretty bad on my end. For now, I can sort of tell that the short Chairwoman and the tall Blondie are friends. Chairwoman is ranting and raving as Blondie smiles, pats me on the back, and takes a step away. For an instant, for some reason, that gives me an awful chill. Anyway, isn't this supposed to be where orientation is? Are you newbies too? What? Who are you calling a newbie? We've been here a little longer than you, so we have seniority. So there. Take that, fool. I'm just here because this girl said she didn't want to go alone. And who is this? Oh, it's you. I'm going to call you Sakura, just because it seems to fit. She pulls a very pink girl over. Didn't even notice her before. The new girl stands there awkwardly in front of me. She heaves a little sigh that sounds anxious and keeps her eyes down, only occasionally glancing up at me. Thank you for giving me the seat on the train. It was awful nice of you. Let's be friends and not scare the shit out of each other. And once again, I can't help but feel like I've seen her before. This morning, Anyway, yeah, I'm her big sis. Wait, you look nothing alike. That's because we're stepsisters. Baka! Ha! Hey, would you say something? I know you can at least introduce yourself. I'm Maya Elbeth. Pleased to meet you. Right. Maya's all scared. Is it because she's talking to a man? That's adorable. No. I told you she's always been like this. Even back home, remember? My name is Belial. Thanks for this morning. I mean, I guess I'm older, but, pleased to meet you, nonetheless. It's only by 1 year anyway. The difference is nothing when it comes to working here. Both of you are essentially babies. Belial, huh? That's a rather unusual name. Hey, Belle, did you know what it is we do here before you came? What do you do here? That apparently struck Blondie as pretty funny, since she starts cackling, mouth wide open. The others give an exasperated sniff. Are you sure you're not in the wrong place? That's not what I meant. I was told this was where I'd get an explanation. Hey, I know this kid's a riot, but just explain it to him already. Ugh, fine. But only say it once, got it? Maya, make sure you listen to this again. As everyone chuckles, Maya, the only one with the uneasy expression, nods along with me. During the explanation, I get distracted by how Blondie, who stood next to me, keeps looking at me and laughing. But in essence, this is how it is. Is she flirting with him, or is she just excited by the fact that I'm gonna be scared shitless in a little while? This is Temple. It's called St. Sheol. It was established in the center of the Curia to save people from pests, using power granted by God. Each of the 6 continents possesses a similar temple administered by the cardinals of each region. Here, St. Sheol is divided into 4 departments, each under the purview of the Pope. The Magic Department, the Academics Department, the Health Department, and the Cleanup Department. Of the 6 temples, St. Sheol is the only one with an established department for cleanup, which is what we're assigned to. We're essentially the cleanup crew that makes sure the nation's cogs keep turning, and after a week of training, we'll be acknowledged as official members of the clergy. I wanted to make sure I understood everything properly, but didn't seem like they'd answer me outright. Without a choice, I saved my questions for later and tried to organize all the new information in my head. I see. Well, thanks. Are Maya and I the only new workers today? This department is always understaffed, but we get new people at the end of every month. Little by little, on a regular basis, that sort of thing. Oh, did you want to meet the other boys and girls? Don't worry about that. You'll be able to soon. I've got plenty of friends to introduce you to. Are they all bodies? I hear the door open again. The two of them break off the idle conversation they were lapsing into. Chairwoman's face scrunches up at the sight of him. Oh, why, if it isn't secure it. Weren't you busy? What are you doing here? Blondie approaches him first, but the boy doesn't even spare a glance for her. Instead, he sets a stare directly at me. Why me? What did I do? Why? Leave me alone. Look at Maya. She's prettier. Wait, I thought only new members could come in here. That's what I want to ask. Why are you here? The bishop is unable to come today. She's a very busy woman. I'm just here in her place. They don't seem like they're friends. The chairwoman glares at him for cutting her off, but purposely doesn't say anything in response. The short conversation seems like it's over already. The one Blondie calls Secure It comes over to us and looks me up and down. Ever done this kind of work before? No, sir! There's no point in asking that. He literally didn't know anything about it. In fact, I just finished telling him what we do here at the temple. Secure It, would you be so kind as to show these two the proverbial ropes? What? The bishop left this task in your hands, didn't she? I highly doubt you were planning on pushing such an important and crucial job onto us. Yes, that's right. We have to get to work ourselves. Thank you for this, temp assistant bishop. The boy says nothing as the two girls go past him towards the door. That one's my little sister, so you better do a good job of teaching her. I don't give a crap about him, but you better take care of her. He's expendable. She's not. I don't care if she dies. I will kill you if she dies. One of them makes a found demand before exiting the room. The other casually turns to us and waves before leaving. I wave back, not really thinking about it, but a moment later I come to my senses and turn around. The boy is still here. He's got his eyes narrowed into a severe glare. Almost like he's upset that I was waving to the Blondie and chairwoman. Finally, he heaves a sigh and gestures for us to come with him. Or maybe he was just mad at the chairwoman and Blondie for leaving us alone with him. Haha, that's gotta be it, right? This is where the scary starts? I was enjoying the uppity beat and stuff like that, but now I'm starting to feel like we're getting into the little bit grosser part of this. As we exit the stairs onto an upper passage, the sound of our footfalls along the floor becomes awfully loud. Does everyone here wear boots with heels or something? Even outside, the sun is still below the horizon. The gaudy stained glass on the hallways walls reflect the dull light of the sky. coloring the entire building with a pure light blue tone. This is definitely not light blue. I know what light blue looks like, and this is definitely not light blue. This looks like it might be a light blue, but this is gray. It almost looks like sunrise. No. Or maybe the colors are just all screwed up here or something like that. What time is it even? Does the sun not rise in the capital or something? It's the polar night right now. The polar night? It's a time of year when the sun doesn't rise during the day, so it's always nighttime. Oh, they're in one of those places. Oh, great. Really? My, you're pretty smart, huh? Does that mean it's going to stay this cold? I suppose. Do you not like being cold, Belle? No, not at all. It sucks, as a matter of fact. I come from a warm place, so I can't quite get used to it. Wait, did you just call me Belle? Well, I like calling people's nicknames, so would you rather I not? No, not at all. I like it. Feel free to call me anything you want. Oh, good. Securet, right? If this is alright with you, would you mind if I called you Rhett? Yes, I'd mind quite a bit. Wah! Hey, look how hard Maya's trying to talk to you. You could at least be a little nicer. Without turning around, he takes out a binder. The papers inside were written using a typewriter. On them are designated places, ranging from simple addresses to nonsensical sequences of numbers. Several of them have been checked off in red ink. Record the work you each perform in here. It's fine to simply observe since it's your first day, but starting tomorrow, you'll have to actually do the work and write it in here. What kind of work is it? Securet says nothing to us, instead quicking his steps and turning the corner, going past the checkpoint. One look at the right rosary around my neck, and the examiner suddenly lets us through. Hey, I asked what kind of work we're doing. Trailing behind him, I ask once again. He coughs nervously. Did I make him mad or something? Slam! Before leaving through the entrance, Securet pulls out a handcart. It clatters loudly on the floor. All sorts of cleaning supplies, plus a few sacks, are piled upon it. Take this. He says it in a rather high voice, as though his vocal cords haven't been affected by puberty yet. As part of the cleanup department, our jobs are to sanitize the work areas of other departments that get dirty from exterminating evil spirits, to clean up and deal with any reported corpses, and to exterminate the pests that have been growing in number recently. We also perform preservative treatment on dead bodies, assisting in their funerals and get rid of the lost. Essentially, any troubling work like that, and the kind that needs manpower, falls on us. The lost? You do know about them. After I repeat the familiar word, thinking about it, Securet stops and turns back around to us. He doesn't reply with an answer. I look at him blankly, after which his gaze shifts to Maya. Apparently she knows about this. I'm the one who doesn't. Because of the fact that I'm in a town of only 20 people. All of them family. How can you possibly go wrong? How can you be informed of anything when you're living with your family in a small, desolate town? Seeing that she does, Securet shakes his head and starts walking again. You know how people possess sacred powers? Yeah. The stuff needed for the stigmata to appear, right? Yes. It's also called God's only mercy to man. That's just how incomprehensible this power is to people. But what do you think happens to this great sacred power when its vessel dies? It dies with him, I would hope, right? I'm guessing it doesn't go away. Correct. Back home, the tradition is to cremate people immediately after they die. Instead of looking upon the faces of the dead, We gazed at the blazing flames, enduring the distinct odor of burning flesh, and saying our goodbyes to the fire. I was never happy with that, so one day I asked the big man in the village about it. I just realized now that he said something very similar. Human corpses could be returned to heaven without immediately burning their bodies. Otherwise, their lingering resentment would remain in the world, and they would become monsters that crawl around along the ground. The hunks of flesh controlled by that sacred power have no consciousness nor memories. They either continue moving until they run out of energy, or, more likely, they attack people. They don't have consciousness, but still have instincts, or something like that. It's up to us to retrieve and deal with them. We never have enough people for it. Essentially, we take people in without even checking their number or stigmata on their status in society. The rest of the world doesn't take kindly to us because of it. Since you two are still in training, though, you won't be directly sent to the Pestis. Instead, you'll probably be doing simple jobs like cleaning. Sekiro continues to walk as he explains, his voice flat and disinterested. The cold terminology peers in my ears as I travel down the dark path. I'm not completely sure I have an accurate understanding of the terms and explanations I've heard. Next to me, Maya's gait has been growing more and more unsteady. Thinking her feet are tired, I look at her and worry, only to see that she's shaking and her face is as white as a sheet. Doubting exhaustion is the only thing at play, I purposely raise my voice. By the way, you describe it. The cleanup department are just slaves of the temple. Perhaps, but its work is necessary to ensure the smooth operation of the country. This looks kind of messed up, not gonna lie. After traveling a bit, he stops in front of a residential building. I can see plenty of signs that people once lived here, but not a single person in sight. As I hurry to catch up to him, my foot catches on some kind of flatboard. There are several of them sticking out of the ground. They look like signs that are trying to keep people out. Nobody told me about any of this beforehand. Would you just be quiet for a moment? Excuse me? Angry at his cold complaint, my voice becomes rough, but a moment later, he smoothly passes a mask to me. Confused, I say nothing more, and take the mask from him and put it on my face, and regret every second of it. After he gives another mask to Maya, he starts rolling up his sleeves. Breathe through your nose as little as possible. Okay. Sekiro puts on white rubber gloves that go all the way to his elbow. Then he puts his own mask on before taking out a relatively large bucket and a few sacks from the handcart we brought here. Having lived in a harsh place where people died every day, this wasn't my first time seeing corpses. Nevertheless, the sight I witnessed once I passed through the door was a terrible one. Maya gasps and tenses, her body shaking. I step in front of her to block the view. Even through all the white smoke from the disinfectant, I can clearly see the maggots covering the floor like a living sheet. With too much exposure to moisture, the wooden floor is rotted away, and the pieces of the corpse are stuck to it. They've begun to melt and have already turned black. Flies buzz around the crushed, desecrated skin. Ugh. Unable to breathe at the horrific sight, Maya covers her mouth and nearly falls to the ground. Her delicate arms and legs are shaking. I feel so bad for her, and also concerned over what might happen if she really did fall. It's awful. You call this awful? This is proof that this person lived. Have some respect. Gosh. Yeah, sure, maybe. But there's a dead body now. You're not supposed to shove stuff like this in another people's face. Well, it's also proof that this person died. Sekiret sighs from inside the mask and picks up a sack. I'll handle this. Stand back. If you just stand there, you'll get in the way of my work. Is that a normal thing to say in this situation? If you're experienced at what you do, yes, it is a normal thing to say. I want to argue with him somehow, but more than that, I can't leave Maya alone. Because of how stifling the air in there was, the air outside feels awfully refreshing now. Maya leans against me, finally put one foot in front of the other with some steadiness. Eventually, the hand softly holding up my shoulder squeezes tightly. She's still shaking. Eventually, she lets go and heads over to the wall. Before I can think of something, she loudly vomits. The watery, mostly uncolored contents of her stomach fall from her mouth to the floor and because that's what we want to know. She then slides down the wall to the ground, not even a hint of color on her face. Are you alright, I ask, walking up to her to check on her. She bites down on her lower lip and groans in pain as she shakes her head. Her eyes are squeezed shut, and tears fall quickly from them. I can't do this, she weakly stammers. I said I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to come here at all. Hey, come down. Come on. I use the outside of my mask to wipe the bile from Maya's mouth a little at a time. She was driven here to this polar region, and now she'd raised her voice in terror. She looks so much smaller now. Sensing my feelings, Maya sniffles the urge to use her sleeve to wipe her eyes. I wish I was in your shoes, she says. You get to go to the magic department once your training is over. Despite being inarticulate through her wheezing, her words resonate clearly in my ears. Her eyelids are swollen and red, probably from rubbing them so much. It's rough not having any talent, she goes on. It's really rough, Belle. They have nowhere to go. I haven't seen very many girls my age. Plenty of their brothers were around where I used to live, but the sisters were either pretty young or quite a bit older than me. Because of that, I've never even seen a girl crying like this, much less had to comfort one. But there one is, right next to me, just 1 year apart. Words of consolation whirl through my head, only to shatter pointlessly the moment I try to speak. My mind blanks, then gives way to a certain thought. Do people in the capital shove children like her out into the real world just because they've technically become adults? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I didn't want to become an adult at all, she says, echoing the one question in my otherwise empty head. We weren't prepared for this in the slightest. What were we even supposed to do? Adults. Adults are the worst. Her hand raised high above her swings down as if to throw something, and lies are trembling. I take that hand and squeeze it. Her hand is much smaller than mine and is covered in tears and snot all the way to her sleeve. Then I'll help you, I say. Maya's eyes widen as she looks at me. With what? She asks. Her confusion sounds a lot calmer now than before. Her ragged breathing has been steadying out, too. I'll just help you, I repeat. No matter what happens and no matter what you need help with. Maya is surprised, but I'm downright shocked. I didn't realize I'd grabbed her hand like that. I released it. As I do, her wide eyes slowly return to normal. I probably calmed her down a little. She looks down like she usually does and sniffles. Thank you, she says. Sorry about that. No, don't be. I'm the one who should be sorry for worrying you. Belle, I've thought this since the moment we met, but you really seem to be like helping people. From the moment we met? You don't remember? We met on the train coming here. Wait, really? Oh, huh. Now that you mention it. So that's why I felt like I've seen Maya somewhere before. We go back to the house and hear the clatter of the handcart. The empty sacks from before are now full. He must have dealt with the gore inside. I glance to the side, accidentally locking eyes with him. Securet uses a dirty glove to lower his mask, then hands a mop and broom to us, one each. Ever cleaned before? With rags, sure. Then could you get the living room looking nice? I picked everything up, so... Ah, gotcha. Don't think you can stomach it? No, I'll be fine. You're only human. I won't demand a perfect job on day one. But this is the easy part, so you need to at least do your best with this. Right. Starting tomorrow, we'd have to get used to not only seeing dead bodies, but also to touching them. But even with anxiety rising above every other motion, seeing Maya's face twisted into even more worry than mine naturally made me want to worry about her too. She's never been an active conversationalist, but she's been a lot quieter than she was before. I would have to think over what to talk about her with her carefully. As 3 pairs of footfalls and the rolling of heavy handcart reverberate around us, Securet finally breaks the silence. Noon already. Huh? This is when the temple has lunchtime. You two go back ahead of me. What should we do after eating? I guess you should rest up and then go back to your dorms. You're letting us go back? We don't usually make trainees work very late. Didn't you hear about that? Oh, that makes me so happy. Good thing, too. Also starting tomorrow. Could you ask about work from those girls instead? I was only asked to do this for today, so... Just as I'm about to ask him more about that, he pulls the handcart away with a loud clatter, marking the end of the conversation. I didn't even respond to that. He probably made that loud noise on purpose. What a pain. As I watched him grow smaller and smaller in the distance, without bothering to turn back, I cursed him under my breath in retaliation. Temple lobby. When Maya and I reach the cafeteria near our department, we find a lot more people around than before. People who give off similar auras are chatting and laughing about pointless things in their assigned groups. As we pass them, their topics sound similar as well, yet they're all different. As we enter, people we've never seen before see us and break out into laughter. The laughter spreads around them in a strange rippling effect. Are newbies coming back from their jobs so amusing to them? Apparently we've earned some popularity in this department. They bombard us with questions and greetings. As we're responding to them, someone behind me softly grabs my shoulder amidst the noise of the room. I'm borrowing him, she says. It's a blonde-haired girl we met this morning. The scent of her thick perfume seems a little different to me now. Maybe she's been somewhere full of the stench of corpses this entire time. She's been working here this whole time too. The more a girl her age wanted to do herself up, the more she'd probably hate the stench. Even I would refuse to do this if I could. As she tugs on my arm, the nearby boys that had accosted me grin and waved their hands after me. I thought maybe people in the Capitol would be gloomy and unsociable, but it looks like I was wrong. Or oh so right. Thanks for getting me out of that one. You weren't lying when you said a lot of people would be here. You're dead tired, huh? Maya! And Belial too, lest you forget. Are you okay? This buffoon or that other annoying kid bully you or anything? Hey, we weren't bullying her. Ah, it's making me dizzy. It wasn't this noisy before, so maybe it's because the sun hasn't come up lately. Everyone's talking about disasters and calamities and such. About what? Ugh, those crazy beliefs about the end of the world. All this stuff about this being the 2000th year before since that great disaster. I'm so sick of all these superstitious beliefs. Yeah, and we had so many applications for a while when all the apocalyptic rumors about the Great Flood were going around too, didn't we? And those magic department mucks almost worked themselves to death. Wish I could have seen them. Things like rumors, that's all, right? Yeah, right. Anyway, how was work, you two? Pretty rough, yeah? It was, more than I expected. Actually, I'm not sure I'm ever gonna get used to it. You might not ever. It's still really rough for us, too. The Cardinal here was the one who set up this insane department. He's got to be touched in the head or something. Not in a good way, either. The sandwich I was given as my share is the worst sandwich I've ever seen. The bread is hard and cold, and not only is there a complete dearth of any meat on it, the sloppily applied sauce is like nothing I've ever seen before. To make matters worse, the only thing sandwiched in this sandwich is a slice of lettuce. I don't know how long it's been sitting out, but it's chewy as rubber. Is this it? Maya says something about it before I can. There's milk, too. Wow! Milk! Does a body good. Wait, hang on. You're telling me this is supposed to fill me up? Oh, be quiet and stop your incessant whining. You're not a child. Everyone here feels the same way without you making a fuss about it, so shut up and eat. Got a lot of complaints, but I reluctantly forced my teeth to bite through the world's worst bread. Mealtime, though it would be blasphemous to say this food and conversation that continue to drag on. I just wonder what Sekaret is like. We left early, so... What? Ugh. Thanks for making me lose my appetite. This bread is already shitty enough as it is. This food, I should say, is shitty enough as it is. But now you're bringing up that guy? Ugh. I'm gonna vomit. Maya, you don't have a thing for that sleaze bag, do you? No, it's not that. How old is he? He's pretty small. Actually, are you sure he's male? He's the same age as you, and yes, he doesn't quite seem to fit in here, does he? Apparently, he has 3 stigmata. Is that amazing? I don't know. I had 3 stigmata too. Most of the people here know each other, since we were raised in the same monastery, but nobody seems to have ever seen him before. They say he's from the capital. I wonder what he was doing before this. It's all just awful. I wouldn't want to risk catching some disease from him. Actually, maybe that's why he doesn't cling to people. Their docile expressions change completely. Is it that funny to them? I zone out, unable to keep up. Maya's face, meanwhile, is a nice contrast to mine. She still looks like she is a second away from crying, just like the first time I met her. Maya falls silent again. She probably doesn't know what to say either. But apparently Sekaret's been working here for a while, making him perfect to foist the more annoying jobs onto. Yeah, just like this morning, with guys like him, whoever foists the pain in the butt job onto someone else first is the winner. Oh? Not to say you two were a pain in the butt, really. Just, you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah, sure. You gotta go ahead and mess with the newbies, because why the hell not, right? So, he has seniority here? Not bad for someone so measly. You're pretty cute, Maya. So you might actually be able to draw his interest if you cling to him enough. I couldn't. Hey, Keep your weird ideas to yourself. He might be into younger girls, you know. After all, men are all... And... With Chairwoman right next to them, Blondie bends forward and whispers that into Maya's ear. They both go wide-eyed in surprise upon hearing it. Chairwoman laughs. "Cut that out," she says, giving Blondie a light push on the shoulder. I watch as the two of them start cackling. She probably kept her voice down on purpose. Even with a good view of her lips moving, I couldn't make out what she said. "Ha ha!" I laughed flatly. To be honest, I could kind of guess some context. Poor Maya. She's giving a troubled, empty smile again. Idly, I wonder why they're doing this in front of me anyway. Do they forget I'm here? That's when my eyes met with hers as she laughs. The girl just nearby leans on her shoulder and directs a narrow gaze at me. She doesn't laugh loudly, if anything, it's more like a titter. That's when I become sure this wasn't a coincidence or misunderstanding. They made the joke at my expense. Is this all a warning or something? I don't have time to think about it any more than that, though. A bell rings in the distance, and the girls' faces shift back to their cool, serious facades. This won't do. I have to get back to work. Oh, lunchtime is over? I wish I could go back to being a trainee. You're leaving? Yes. And if you're not busy, I suggest taking a look around. If you don't make an effort to get used to this place, you'll start getting lost all the time. The temple is super big. See you later, little kittens. Right. Best of luck with your work, too. Now then, where should I go? I'm going nowhere. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to play this game demo for yourself, links are down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now, everyone. Have a good one.